All right, so Lamar Jackson, this wasn't his best day for sure. I don't think it was horrible either. And some people are going to say I'm making excuses for Lamar, but this is how I honestly feel about football is if you can't get guys open, you're going to have a really hard time. And everyone's trying to figure out who to blame. I was looking on the Ravens subreddit a little bit, and people were blaming Lamar. A lot of people were blaming the offensive line, which tends to be the first thing that gets criticism, and it certainly had its bad moments in this one. People were blaming Greg Roman, but I still have to say, it's like when guys aren't really getting open consistently, you're going to have a hard time. I don't care who you are as a quarterback, and kind of what I always go back to is which quarterback wins this football game. I think there's a couple. Like, it's not like zero, but definitely he was in a tough spot. I also think we have to say he was asked to carry the team, and he didn't do a perfect job at that. I think that's fair to say, specifically the two fumbles. I talk about one in the video. The other one I don't talk about in the film study, but I'll talk about it now, which is, that overtime fumble. That just can't happen. I know you don't want to take a sack in overtime. I get it. But it's better than, fumbling the football. I mean, if you're going to scramble, put two hands on the ball. That just can't happen. There's no excuses. And again, other than that, I thought, he missed a couple throws as well. We'll talk about that. But as a whole, I thought he played pretty well. And he had some really great moments, in fact. Some moments that I'm like, oh, man. Like, I was really excited at one point during, the recording of this video. Like, oh, man, this is great. It's just unfortunate it ended like that. Like, had Lamar drove down the field and kicked the field goal, it would have been very different, but, he didn't do that. So, or even to take a step back, had the Ravens just held on in the fourth quarter, I think we feel very differently about his performance. But regardless, let's get into the film study. Let's talk about the good. There was plenty of good. And we'll talk about the bad. So, we'll start off with this play. This is a smaller play, but I think that this kind of thing matters, and this is a really good example of what Lamar Jackson can do very well in the passing game. So it's going to be a cover 3 zone. You have Mark Andrews, who I thought the Ravens did a very good job of, throwing to some, but also using as a decoy a lot as well. You're going to see him do that on this play, where it's going to actually be Sammy Watkins is the guy who Lamar is going to look towards. Basically Andrews runs deep, Watkins runs just underneath on a 3rd down and 6. Hopefully he can, get past the first down marker. That's the way it works. And look, right when this play starts, so again, it's a relatively simple concept, but it's also worth mentioning there is pressure on this play. So I do feel like one of the things Lamar does a pretty good job of is I think that he at times can do a great job at getting rid of the ball quickly. Now, of course, there's times when he wants to hold on to the ball for a while so he can set stuff up. I understand the logic behind that. It works out very well. But like on a play like this, when he just needs to get rid of the ball quickly, he absolutely can. Look, steps up, makes this throw. They get the first down right there. That's a very good play in my opinion. On that 3rd down. It's not like this incredible play or anything, but it's a good play against 3rd down and 6 to pick up the first down right here. Something like this was just incredible, and this was like, this was just one of those Lamar Jackson plays that every time you watch him, he makes some of these spectacular plays. This is one of them. It's going to be zone coverage, cover 3 zone. You have, another thing worth mentioning is going to be the pressure off the edge. I mean, really, the tackles struggled in this one. Even Ronnie Staley gave up some pressure, and Villanueva definitely did. The edge rushers for the Las Vegas Raiders did do a very good job in this one. And look at how Lamar kind of, he starts to step up in the pocket, but then very quickly, once he realizes that he doesn't necessarily have to, because 91 for the Raiders moved back in, he then steps back further out, which is kind of fun. It's interesting. You don't see too many guys sort of juke out edge rushers when there's tackles in the way. I think that's kind of fun. So he gets himself more time that way. And at this point, Crosby is kind of on the edge, but there is a little window where Lamar can run through. And listen, if this is, even like a good quarterback, if this is Derek Carr, he can't fit through that gap. It's only a few guys that can do it. Probably really just Kyler and Lamar that can do it consistently. I mean, look at how Lamar is able to step through, and he's now going to run. And at this point, he's just buying time. He eventually makes this throw, and there is an opening. And part of this is just against the zone coverage. Eventually, you're going to find someone open. It's just too difficult to stay covering people for that long when Lamar can buy some time like he can, and that's what makes Lamar so deadly. There was also something like this that wasn't even a great play, but it kind of just goes to show just the insane athlete that Lamar Jackson is. So it's going to be a cover 3 zone on this play, and they're eventually just going to go for something underneath. Like watch, right when this play starts, there's kind of a weird play action. It didn't really work out too well. Lamar pump faked. Also, notice Lamar pump faking a lot more. I'm not sure if that's a conscious thing or it just happened to work out that way, but regardless, you have Mark Andrews right there who's open, and honestly, I think it's fair to say Lamar maybe should have thrown this a little bit earlier. I think that's a fair criticism, but Lamar's also under pressure. I mean, Crosby is right behind him. He has to make this throw right now. He can't get his feet planted whatsoever. What's insane is going to be how much strength he gets on this ball, despite not even being off balance, but not being able to use his legs hardly at all. I mean, look, that's a jump pass right there, and they get the completion. Again, maybe not his best play of the night for sure, but just kind of an example of just how insane of an athlete he is. He really is incredible at that kind of thing. Like with so many other quarterbacks, that's just an interception right there, but he's not every other quarterback. When I saw this play, I loved it. This play it made me feel so happy. If you watched I think it's like a 45-minute long video, but I made a deep dive film study on Lamar Jackson, and you recognize this play. It's a zone coverage play where Andrews simply stops in coverage and they throw it to him. Honestly, even if you didn't watch that video, you recognize this play as this is very similar to the pick 6 in the Buffalo Bills playoff game that ended up being the back-breaking play of that game. One of the issues with the Baltimore Ravens offense as a whole, not Lamar Jackson, but the entire offense, is the fact that this was kind of their best play last year, was they didn't have a lot of guys who could go up and just win those kind of matchups. So they would kind of just use Andrews' big body and his size and sort of box guys out and try to, gain some yards that way. And Lamar definitely got a bit too quick at making the throw, immediately, and it really came back to bite him in that playoff game. But watch what he's going to do here. Look, Lamar takes the snap. You see Andrews does sit down, and the old Lamar, I think, makes this throw, and it's an interception. I really do believe that. I think there's a very good chance, at least, and this one is a bit of an easier read than that Buffalo Bills one, but not by that much. But what I love about this is the fact that Lamar is going to be alert, and he's going to understand the situation he's in. Instead of forcing it in, he waits, then throws it to and then open Mark Andrews. That's just good football right there from Lamar Jackson, and I think really, it was just a smart play more than anything, I thought. Really good play by Lamar. And again, these are the kind of things I look for. Yeah, that scramble was cool. We know Lamar can do that. What I look for is how are you improving as a player? Well, this is a massive improvement from a big hole that was in his game last year. Now, we got to talk about something like this. We do. This wasn't a great play, and there's a couple of these for Lamar Jackson where he will have a couple of missed throws. Again, I think it's fair to bring these up. So what's going to happen is that I'm going to circle that player right here, there, 27 there for the Raiders. He is the deep corner, so he's in charge of covering the bottom right-hand corner of the screen, which is sort of the right of the offense deep. But again, it's cover 3, so he can definitely move further in. It's sort of more of a suggestion than a rule. And on 3rd down and 5, it's okay if he kind of protects that line a little bit, especially with a receiver all the way out, like as you see. And just so you know how this is going to work, needs to be mentioned that what's going to happen on this play is that he's going to back up a little bit. Lamar is going to notice that and make a throw in that direction. All of that, well and good. Very good stuff by Lamar. The issue is going to be the throw itself. Look, as you see, I'm not sure. This could have been a miscommunication. He maybe could have expected his halfback on that play to be running instead of, staying there. But I don't know why he would, because, he was clearly just staying there at that point. But I should at least give him that out. He missed a couple throws. He did. It's going to be amplified because he is Lamar Jackson. But as a whole, I didn't think it was a huge deal, but he did miss a couple throws. Now, this was the fumble. It's not great. I'm going to show it a couple times. The issue with this play is it's in his right hand, and there's pressure on his right, so he's trying to flip it to his left hand. But you got to do that quicker if you're going to do it. At this point, it's way better to just have it tucked, have both hands on it, than to be trying to flip it while someone can make the play. Also a great defensive play, but you just can't fumble the ball here. This was a bad fumble, and it could have cost this could have been the difference in the game, although he would follow it up and sort of make up for it immediately after. It would be with this play, which was just a thing of beauty. And, Peyton and Eli sort of talked about this a little bit on the broadcast, but to, sort of reiterate what they already said, it's a cover 3 zone. But what's interesting about this play, and this doesn't always happen, but it did on this play, that in case you were a little bit confused, the corner, the guy who's in charge of covering the deep left-hand corner of the screen, he's playing further in because no one on that side of the field is going to run deep. So that's why a linebacker ends up staying deep with Sammy Watkins. It's because no one else can cover him if the linebacker doesn't. And obviously, Sammy Watkins does a great job against the linebacker. That's a mismatch. So this is the kind of thing that gets set up when, as a defense, you feel like you have to play zone coverage against Lamar Jackson. Well, then you can start running design plays to beat cover 3 zone, which is what they're doing here. And look, right when this play starts, so Lamar Jackson is going to, fake a handoff, fires one deep. Watkins is open, but it's also worth mentioning, it's not like Watkins was completely wide open. Nick Kwiatkowski actually did a pretty incredible job of doing his best to try and get into this play. I mean, give him some credit. When we talk about a mismatch, well, he's getting down there. So this is going to have to be a perfect throw. But that's exactly what it is. They get a big play that they've been trying to get all game, and they get it inside the 10. That helps set up a Latavius Murray rushing touchdown. So big play there by Lamar, I thought, to help them out in a big way. And then this was the play that would lead to the eventual, go-ahead field goal with 37 seconds left. This is just insane. This is just Lamar Jackson saying, I'm going to take over this game. And this is the play why I'm such a big fan of him, because I don't care, what other quarterback you're talking about. No other quarterback makes this play. There is one guy who makes this play, and his name is Lamar Jackson. So it's zone coverage. I believe it's quarters. Could be wrong. A little bit tough to tell from this angle, but regardless, could be cover 3. Anyways, watch what's going to happen here. Lamar takes the snap, and you're going to see that, a big part of why they're not playing man and why they're playing zone is to stop the run. And look at this. I paused it right here. There is no reason that Lamar should be able to get out of this. I mean, sure, you gained 8 yards or so. I mean, that's pretty good already. There's no way that Lamar should have been able to do what he's going to end up doing. Watch him just get around. It was 42 right there that he was able to get around. What a move. Gets inside field goal range. And listen, when you're inside the 40 and you're wearing a Ravens uniform, you're in field goal range because you got Justin Tucker, who he's going to make it. Just an absurd play to make late in the game. Again, say what you want about him earlier on in the game, but in this fourth quarter, he was electric. So yeah, that's what I thought about Lamar. Again, there was a lot of good, but just that fumble can't happen at the end there, which again, it's a bad mistake. Give credit to the Raiders. They played great for sure. It was an awesome game. As a neutral, I was having a blast watching it, but I do feel for Ravens fans, and I feel for Lamar Jackson because you can tell how frustrated he was in his own performance, even though, again, there was some good stuff there, but they got to be a little bit better, and they need Rashad Bateman back. They do. They need to help this receiving core, which I thought, again, Sammy Watkins had some moments. Mark Andrews had a couple of moments, although he did have that costly drop. But that was pretty much it. They didn't have too much, and this isn't a really difficult defense to get separation on unless they've completely changed with a new defensive coordinator, which I think I need to see another week to really feel that way. But that's what I think. What do you guys think? Let me know in the comments below. Always love hearing from you. And of course, as always, thanks for watching.